First Contact Captain Elias Reeves stood still on the observation deck of the UES Aramis, his lined face bathed in the dim light of far-off stars. After 16 long months in deep space, the exploration craft had traveled beyond the reach of any previous human mission. Crossing into the uncharted zone, the crew had started calling the Silent Expanse. "Captain, you need to see this." Dr. Meng's voice buzzed over the comms, an unusual urgency piercing her normally composed tone. Reeves exhaled. In 2 decades with the United Earth Space Agency, he'd learned that those words "you need to see" this almost never brought good news. "On my way, Doctor." When he entered the science lab, it was a scene of restrained turmoil. The usual calm order had been replaced by tense energy as the 12-person science team crowded around the central holodisplay. "We picked it up about an hour ago," Dr. Jian said, fingers flying over the controls. "At first, we thought it was just another asteroid cluster, but then the hologram shifted, revealing a massive structure floating giganst. The backdrop of space, it wasn't like anything Reeves had ever seen. A colossal vessel that seemed to defy conventional design principles, with sweeping organic curves intersecting with geometric precision. "That's a ship," whispered. "Not just any ship," Captain Jun replied. "Based on our preliminary scans, it's been out here for at least 50 years. The captain's mind raced with implications. Humanity had spent centuries searching for signs. Off intelligent extraterrestrial life, finding only microbial evidence on Mars and Europa, now barely 3 light-years beyond their farthest outpost. They'd stumbled upon not just evidence, but a technological marvel that made the MS look like a primitive canoe. "Have Yao attempted communication?" Reeves asked, histrioning. Taking over Dr. Kavita Patel Thedam's Sino-linguist stepped forward. Reeves stepped forward. "We've tried. Standard first contact protocols. Mathematical sequences, binary code, radio frequencies across the spectrum. No response. It appears dormant." Zhang added, "But our sensors detect a power source within the vessel. Whatever it is, it's still operational after 50 millennia." Reeves studied the hologram, noting the vessel's immense skull set course to intercept. "Alert the crew. I want a full briefing in 1 hour." Communications officer Nadia Volkov watched the alien vessel grow larger in view screen as the Aramis approached Headburn on Mars. She had never quite-adjusted to Earth's gravity during her academy training, but space felt like home. Transmitting greeting sequence alpha, she reported, her fingers flying Gacris, her console all frequencies, all known protocols. The bridge was silent except for the soft electronic hum of equipment. Captain Reeves stood behind her, arms crossed, while Security Chief Fura Tanaka maintained a watchful stance, his hand never far from his sider. "Still no response," Nadia confirmed after several minutes. Doctor studied her table team, detecting minuscule energy fluctuations. "It's almost like it's listening." Continued transmission. Resorted Leton. "Try the sequence again." Adia nodded, but before she could restart the greeting protocol, frustration overwhelmed her. "Profession Alvner, why won't you answer us?" she muttered under her breath in her native Russian. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The alien vessel pulsed with sudden life ripples of blue-green energy cascading across its hull. The Artemis proximity alarms blared as energy readings spiked off the charts. "What the hell did you do?" Tanaka demanded, drawing his weapon instinctively. Nadia stared in shock. I just spoke to it in Russian." Darjung noted, her eyes wide. "The mathematical protocols didn't work." But a human voice in Russian triggered a response. Captain Reeves leaned forward. "Officer Volkov, say something else." Nadia swallowed hard and spoke again in Russian, this time a formal greeting. The vessel's response: intensified patterns, soft light shifting, and coalescing across the surface. It's generating a docking field. The navigation officer announced, his voice strained. It's pulling using should. "I resist, Captain." He sked hands, hovering over the controls, revicitated only briefly. "No, let it. Giddy us in, but be prepared for emergency separation." As the MEIs was drawn toward an ancient vessel, the crew watched in awe as a seam appeared in the Simingleislad hole, widening into an entrance large enough to accommodate their ship. "It's inviting us inside," Dr. John whispered. The boarding team assembled in the airlock, each member checking their environment suits. Captain Reeves had selected a small group himself. Dr. John, Security Chief Tanaka, Engineer Lukasaka 4, and Communications Officer Valkov. Remember, Reeves addressed them. We're making first contact with a civilization that may have been spacefaring when our ancestors were still figuring out agriculture. Standard protocols apply. No hostile actions. Document everything the team step it through. The AR Artemis airlock into a transparent tunnel that had formed between the two vessels. It was neither solid nor liquid, but something in between. A miracle of engineering. Thatch Holden have been possible, according to human understanding of physics. Atmospheric readings are stabilizing, John reported. Checking our scanner. Oxygen, nitrogen. Trace elements. It's creating a breathable atmosphere. Keep your helmets in until I give the word. Reads order read. Progressed through the tunnel into the ancient ship. The interior defied expectations. Instead of a confined space, they entered what appeared to be a vast chamber with walls that seemed to shift and move as if the very structure of the vessel was fluid rather than solid. This is incredible, engineer Okafor breathed. Engineer mind struggling to comprehend the technology surrounding them. The ship appears to be reconfiguring itself in response to our presence. Nadia felt an odd sensation, a gentle pressure at the edges of her consciousness, neither invasive nor but unmistakably presentos. Anyone else feel that? She asked hesitantly before anyone could respond. The chamber, illuminated with countless points of light coalescing into a three-dimensional star. Map thoughts surrounded them completely at the center off. The display, a pulsing light, marked their current position. It's showing us thing. Galaxy, John gasped, but not as it is now. Based in stellar positioning, this map shows galaxy as it existed approximately 50 years ago. Suddenly the points of flight began to move, starred shifting position as the map accelerated through time until it matched current astronomical charts. A series of symbols sappered, unlike any language the team had encountered. It's communicating. Not a Sade, but I don't understand, stand as Ife in response to her words. The symbols transferred, shifting and changing until they formed recognizable Silla characters, then English, then Mandarin, cycling through human languages. At breathtaking speed, the message, when it stabilized, was simple and profound. The Guardians welcomed the children of the architects. What does that mean? Tanaka's coozed, his weapons still ready despite this seemingly peaceful contact. Bear. Anyone could speculate. The chamber shifted. Again, the walls became transparent, revealing the true scale of the vessel. They had entered. It wasn't just a ship. It was a repository, a vast library of knowledge, countless data storage. Units lined massive chambers that extended farther than they could see. This isn't just a starship, Doctor, John whispered in awe. It's an archive. News balls appeared before them, then formed into English voice recognition, confirmed genetic profile matched. Access granted. The Guardian awaits. The Inheritor's captain. Rivas exchanged glances with his team. I recognized Officer Volkov's voice pattern, and apparently our DNA. But why? Nadia asked. How could an alien vessel from 50 years ago recognize human speech or genetics? The answer materialized before them as a holographic figure took shape, humanoid but clearly not human, with elongated limbs and features that seemed both familiar and alien. When it spoke, its voice resonated, not through the air but directly in their minds. Because you are not the first, it said, and we have been waiting a very long time. The Guardian's purpose. The holographic figure stood before them, its form translucent, yet somehow substantum. Reeves stepped forward, years off diplomatic training guiding his response. I am Captain Elias Reeves of the United Earth Space Agency vessel Aramis. We come in peace and friendship. The figure's expression remained impassive. I am the Guardian interface. I exist to preserve knowledge and prepare for the Inheritor. Turn. Its gaze shifted to Nadia. Your vocal patterns activated. Dorky protocols. After 52 years, the cycle begins anew. Dr. John moved closer, her scientific curiosity overcoming caution. What psycho were the architects you mentioned, Eth? Chamber transformed around them through walls, becoming a canvas for images that flowed like water. Cities that defied gravity, worlds terraformed and teeming with life, vessels that dwarfed even this massive archive ship traveling between stars. The architects rose 100 years before your earliest civilization, Gardian explained. They seeded life through the Othis, galaxy nurturing worlds with potential. Earth was one such world. Images shifted to show beings similar tough hologram working with carefully modifying and cultivating life forms across diverse environments. You're saying humans. For engineer Okaf, for Askett struggling with the implications, note engineered the Guardian corrected guided the architects found primitive hominids with potential. They accelerated certain traits curiosity, adaptability, creativity. Rest of your evolution was naturalist intended. Captain Reeves processed this revelation with remarkable cucumber. Why? What was their purpose? The Guardian's form seemed too dim slightly. Because they knew what was coming, they had seen it before. The visual display changed dramatically, showing a wave of darkness spreading across star systems. Worlds that had teemed with life were left barren, civilizations erased, inminments. It was destruction on a scale beyond comprehension. The void, the Guardianumed it, a cosmic force that consumes soul. In its path it comes in cycles, awakening. When galactic civilizations reached certain technological thresholds, the architects faced it and prevailed, but at tremendous cost. Security Chief Tanaka's hand tightened in his weapon. And this void, is it coming back? It never left, the Guardian replied. Simply it treats, recovers, returns. This cycle is approximately 0 years by our calculations. Its awakening is imminent. The implications silenced. The impugn humanity had only recently ventured beyond their solar system. Establishing a handful of outposts, they were in a position to face a threat that had challenged a civilization capable of building the vessel they now stood in. If the architects were so advanced, why didn't they destroy this void permanently? Reeves asked. The void cannot be destroyed by conventional means, the Guardian answered. It exists partially outside normal space-time, the architect siscoved. Only one effective stratagem protocol. The display shifted Dajin, showing battles were smaller. More primitive vessels employed tactics that confused and disrupted the void's fortress. The void operates through perfect prediction. It analyzes patterns, anticipates responses, counters. With absolute efficiency, the architects technically became predictable to it. Boothumans, the Guardian turned to face them directly. Humans are chaos embodied. Your decisions defy logical prediction. Your creativity generates solutions no algorithm can anticipate. Nadia Finlanders, that's why my voice activated ship. You were waiting for us specifically. Yes, the Guardian Confirmetis vessel contains all the knowledge the architects preserve, their history, their technologies, their understanding. The void, it waited for the descendants of those they guided on Earth to reach the stars, to claim their inheritance before the next cycle begins. Durjung's scientific mind raised with questions. But how could they know we would develop as they intended, that we would even survive long enough to reach space? They didn't. The Guardian replied. You were one of many possibilities. They seeded throughout the galaxy. Some failed, others evolved differently. Than anticipated. You are the first to find you scaring the specific genetic and cognitive markers. The architects enhanced. So what happens now? Rias asked, the weight of command never feeling heavier than. In this moment, the Guardian gestured and the chamber transferred once more, revealing a vast repository of technology, weapons, defensive systems, faster than light drives, far beyond current human capabilities. Now you prepare. The knowledge contained in this vessel will advance your civilization by centuries. But time is short. The void stirs already at the edges of this galaxy within your Eliphetum. It will reach populated. Systems engineer Okaf, 4 stared at the displayed technology with professional awe. We couldn't possibly understand all this in time even. With our best interests, you will not be alone. The Guardian interrupted. This vessel, and others like it scattered throughout the galaxy, contain interfaces designed Todiach to guide. I am programmed to assist inheritors in claiming their legacy. Captain Reeves took a deep breath, feeling the weight of a responsibility that extended far beyond his crew or Revan, Earth. And if we refuse, if we're no ready for this knowledge or this fight. Guardian's expression remained dunching. Then the cycle continuous. What? You, the void, consumes all in its path. Your worlds, your people, everything you have built will be erased as countless. Civilizations before you have been erased. A heavy silence fell over a team as they contemplated the Guardian's words. It was security. Chief Tanaka, who finally broke it. We need to report back to Earth Command. This is beyond Our authority to decide, Rivas nodded in agreement. Though his eyes never left the Guardian, will return to our vessel and establish communication with our superiors. I trust that's acceptable. The choice must be yours, the Guardian confirmed. But know this, Themament. Your presence activated this vasal ripples spread across Spacetameth void will have sensed it. The countdown has begun regardless of your decision. As the team prepared to return to, the MS Nadia lingered, studying the holographic figure with intense curiosity. Why did the ship respond to my voice specifically, she asked there. Iris. Billion humans. What made me different? The Guardian turned to her. And for the first time, its expression slightly of all your crew, your genetic profile bears the close resemblance to the architect who designed this vessel in a sense across 50. 0 years, she recognized a distant daughter. Back aboard the Artemis, Captain Reeves faced the most challenging mission report of his career. How talks Plane 2. Earth's command that humanity was the inheritor of an ancient legacy and simultaneously the front line in a cosmic war they never knew existed. The senior staff gathered in the conference room, still processing what they had learned. Dr. John had already begun analyzing the preliminary data the Guardian had provided about architectonology engineer. Oker was sketching designs inspired by the propulsion systems he gleaned. Even the usually stoic Tanaka seemed energized by their revelations. We should proceed with caution, Reeves advised. The Guardian claims are extraordinary. We need verification before we commit to any course of action with respect, Captain Nadia interjected. I believe the Guardiano is telling the truth, the ship responded. Human genetic markers and voice patterns that couldn't possibly be coincidental. Dr. Zhang nodded in agreement. Technology we observed is centurions beyond our capabilities, and the star maps it showed us included details about distant systems we haven't even observed. It details our initial scans, aerial ready, confirming is accurate. Rivas leaned back in his chair. Considering Thyre words, I'm not suggesting the Guardian lead, but we're talking about transforming human civilization of Nig, preparing for a threat. We can barely comprehend the implications are staggering, so are the stakes ton countered if this void is real. If it's coming, we need every advantage we can get. Their discussion was interrupted as the ship's AI announced an incoming transmiss from the Guardian vessel. On the view screen, a star map appeared gliding a region at the edge of the galaxy. Energy readings consistent with Guardian's description of the void have been detected, the ship's sciencey officer reported, her voice tense. Multiple systems have gone dark in the month. Whatever it is, it's moving faster than anticipated. The senior staff will silent, the reality of their situation sinking in. They had been to Red in tow. Deep space seeking knowledge and discovery. Instead, they had found an ancient burden and a looming threat, Captain. Reeves studied the faces of his crew, seeing in them not fear but determination. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and their self-destructive tendencies. Perhaps the architects had chosen wisely. After all, send a priority message to Earth Command. He ordered, tell them found our inheritance, and with it or propose, as the Aramis maintained position alongside the ancient vessel Nadia. Return to the observation decaying at the starship that had waited 0 years for humanity to find a despot. The overwhelming responsibility now faced, she felt a strange sense of rightness, as if pieces of a cosmic puzzle were finally falling into place. You're away. We're finally falling into place. Where? Among those stars darkness was spreading, but for the first time in 50 millennia, the children of the architects were ready to face it, not with superior technology or overwhelming force, but with the unpredictable creativity that made humans uniquely equipped. Tokliange, the impossible the Guardian had waited. The void had awakened, and humanity would answer the call that had a code AC cross time and space to find them.